AI has been in our lives for the past 4 years, and to say it has a big impact on how we do things in this world is an understatement. Whether that has been a good thing is up for debate. Personally, I think more harm has came out of it than good. So much slop has been produced because of it, and companies are starting to use AI nowadays to cut costs and to hope to make more money out of it. Just take Coca-Cola's Christmas ad for this example. Just using AI just so they have to spend any money on actors or anything. It really goes to show that Christmas isn't what it used to be these days. This is why I am a true Pepsi supporter. But the reason I even asked this question is because a film named Upgrade. A film that kind of deals with AI and how it would become more of a hindrance than a helpful tool. The way I even found this film was me scrolling on YouTube Shorts. Please don't click off the video. I watch Instagram Reels. I'm based, trust me. And found this awesome choreographed fight scene that got me interested in finding this movie and watching it for myself to find out it is on Netflix.
This feels a lot like hell.
And it was produced and distributed by Blumhouse Productions, which completely surprised me when watching the movie for the first time. This movie was written and directed by Lee Won-hell, who has single-handedly handled the entire Saw movie franchise, which is insane to me since I think that most horror movies are complete slop. I miss when horror movies are good. The Platform will forever be my top pick. This movie falls under a cyberpunk action thriller that deals with the use of AI, which I think does very well on how it handles it. Not for this, really, but for if AI was advanced enough to make Joe Swanson walk again. Upgrade was released on June 1st, 2018 in the US, and on June 10th, 2018 in Australia.
Come on, did I give this a spin? I will! Yeah.
And by watching this movie, it makes me realize that I'm a thriller enjoyer. I enjoy the best of thrillers have to offer, like Taxi Driver, and Mrs. Blue, and Cats in the Hatch. Really, the best. The reason I even want to make a video on this underrated movie was because it's so in line with how AI is nowadays, and it's just becoming more and more relevant as the years go by. And plus, it's what you all voted on for the poll. One day you'll get a video. One day.
OTL Releasing presents.
The movie starts with this very unique intro to the movie with this AI voice reading out all the people and companies involved to make this movie, which I think is a really cool and smart way to introduce us to the people who made this possible. Reminds me how in some of the endings in Duck Season, a very good game by the way, specifically in Best Man and Nuke ending, where in Best Man after the dog gets shot brutally by the police, a man comes up in the podium to read out the names of the victims who are the dev team who made the game.
We have Alex Muller, Brandon Motch, Cameron Bowen.
And in the Nuke ending, the kid shouts out the names of the devs as well, which I think is very cool. We get a pan shot of a somewhat dirty garage with a man working on a car. He cuts himself while working on it and sucks the blood from his finger. And this right here, what he has done just makes me pull a little disgusted face since I really like washing my hands after working or playing. So our main character definitely has lead poisoning. Now, one thing that I will say about the movie right now is I love the lighting for all these shots. All the reds and blues used to make the scene stand out more and pop. Plus, the lights in the movie represent something important throughout the movie. After grabbing a cold one from the fridge and greeting his wife named Asha, played by Melanie Vallejo, who was also in Power Rangers Mystical Force. Hear that, Alinka? Get your wang out, bro. This one's for you. One thing I love what they do with this scene is establish that Asha is more reliant on technology and AI, while her husband prefers to do things old school.
You want to print a pizza?
Want to make a pizza?
Sounds like a lot of work.
A little fun fact about the future car Asha drives is that it's actually just a Honda Accord from 1983, just stripped down to its bare bones. We are informed on why our protagonist was fixing up a car, since we already know he has one and just ran away. That is for a client and is going to deliver the car, but needs his wife's help in order to do so, since he's old school and doesn't know how to work her car. So off they go and have this beautiful driving scene to go along with it. Reminds me of Cars. No, not that one. The good one. After that beautiful scene, we get to meet the client with his name being Aaron Keene, the owner of Vessel Computers, played by Harrison Sloan Gilbertson, who also played as Philip Morrison in Oppenheimer. Hey, editing stick here. Real quick, while researching for the movie, for like, you know, what's his name? Harrison. I found out that Devon Bostick, Jack Quaid, and Josh Peck are also in Oppenheimer, which gave me such whiplash when looking up for this stuff in the movie. Anyways, yeah, back to the thing. We see him playing with a cloud.
What is the thing that you're touching?
It's my cloud.
And I gotta give props to Harrison's performance. He really just knows how to play a person who is very socially awkward and who doesn't know how to talk to people. Kind of like my friend Matthew.
Everything okay, my friend? I'm sure it's gonna be okay.
When Asha talks about how Cobalt, the company she works for, is getting to the same level as Vessel on helping out people, and to that he says,
We specialize in robotic limbs for wounded soldiers. I mean, we're nothing like Vessel yet, but we're getting there.
No, you're not.
he wants to show him what he has been working on, which is a new, better brain, which he calls STEM, that can do anything you want it to do. And by the looks of it, it just looks like a Hexbug nano micro robot, to be honest. He states it's a bigger, better brain, which makes me think that you could just put it in on a table and just starts walking away. But when presented with this new invention to the couple, the husband is very not on with the idea.
Can I make babies and play football?
It can do things that'll benefit society.
Okay, you know what he means.
Just saying, there's some things that people do better. I mean, you look at that widget and you see the future. I look at that thing and see 10 guys on an unemployment line.
I mean, he isn't wrong. After a car ride home, they get a bit freaky in the car. And I'm just sitting here on the couch thinking, wow, I'm really watching softcore porn right now. But things take a turn for the worse. The car seems to be taking our couple to the husband's old place where he used to live, New Crown.
Hey, honey, where are we?
She's probably just taking us around the traffic.
No. Wait, I'm sorry. This is my old neighborhood. This is where I grew up. Yeah, this is New Crown.
They tell the car to stop driving and let them take control, but the car has a fatal error.
God damn it, stop!
Let me try this.
We're going a little too fast. This is not supposed to be.
After crashing at the speed they were going at, a car pulls out from behind them, and 4 men step out of the car. Looking back at the couple, Asha reveals her husband's name.
Emergency services have been contacted.
Greg. Not Greg, fuck, no, it's Gray. Gray. Which is very interesting in why they chose to reveal our main character's name in this very moment. Keep in mind that we don't know Gray's full name until this very scene. The man with blonde hair and comb over grabs Asha while the other 2 lackeys drag Gray out of the car holding him at gunpoint. While Comb over here pulls a Redditor moment and says this.
You look at me and see a real piece of shit on your shoe, don't you? A learned woman like yourself, looking down on an uneducated insect like me.
No!
The dude kills Asha right then and there. And when Gray goes to punch the guy, he's immediately tackled and held down, while Comeover shoots something in his neck, leaving him paralyzed, and takes his wedding ring, leaving him to sit there and watch his wife die.
Gosh, I can't get to you. I can't move.
And this is a very sad thing to see. Seeing your loved one being shot where you can do nothing to help them, making you feel pathetic and useless is devastating to anyone. All the while the person who did it is feeling proud of themselves and smiling while doing it makes it all the more sickening. Gray just lying there, being lifeless, not moving, as seeing his wife just die in front of his eyes as half of him just died. But one thing to point out during this scene is that the thing Comeover uses to shoot Gray in the neck, if you look closely, you can see it's actually just an NES zapper used to play such games as Duck Hunt and Wild Gunman. So I know you're faking it, Gray.
Get the fuck up.
3 months have passed of Gray being in the hospital and being treated for his wounds. He has fully become paralyzed from the neck down, and his house has been fully installed with robot arms to help him doing things he can now never do. And I just want to say how well the scene is played out and edited.
Let's say you wanted a protein shake. You would just say protein shake. Protein shake. Oh, my lord.
I like how every time he cut to Gray, the background and noise is blurred and muffled to really show that he is really just depressed and just done with life. A man who always relies on himself and wants to get his hands dirty, now reduced to flesh bag on wheels, now having to rely on technology. One thing I like to note is that Gray's mom, Pam, and the nurse aren't really the most considerate when it comes to Gray's situation, trying to treat him like a kid when telling him about how the arms work and being very impressed with the arms, knowing that technology was one of the reasons why his wife died. Even Kara, the AI Asha had, kind of mocks him by asking if Asha is going to join them for dinner.
May I ask if Asha will be joining us for dinner?
And I just gotta say, I really love the actor's performance here. He just knows how to play just a normal guy who has pretty much lost everything. He's played by Logan Marshall Green, who you probably know as the guy from Law & Order. But I know him as the Shocker from Spider-Man Homecoming, who's been shot and killed 41 minutes in the film. Whoa! We are then introduced to Detective Cortez, who is played by Betty Gabriel. Editing stick again. One thing to note as well while writing and like making the script and finally recording, which we're doing right now, a trailer came out yesterday at the time of recording, which is December 13th, and a movie called Novocaine starring Jack Quaid stars Betty Gabriel, which is so bizarre to like. I was just so stun-locked when finding that out. That's pretty funny. Who is meeting with Gray and his mother to discuss what Detective Cortez has found out about Asha's killers, but she has nothing to show, even creating small talk to either avoid or ease him into the disappointing news.
You know, I'm from New Crown, Gray, like you. Went to Hellier High.
So what do you have?
I know you're anxious to come down here and see how we're getting things done, and I think that's great. I'm a face-to-face person myself, you know, I don't pilot these drones. I like to get my hands dirty, bang on doors.
So who are these guys?
I'm gonna work through my list, and if you want to work with me, we're gonna find them.
How can I work with you? I can't even stand.
Don't worry, buddy. I would try to game in myself if my life got ruined by a Redditor that shot me with an NES zapper. After hearing that, it's most likely that Ash's killers will never be found. Gray attempts to take his own life by overdosing on painkillers.
Again, administer PM medicine. The problem again. Again.
I cannot administer any more medication, Gray.
No, you didn't do it right. You didn't do it right. Administer PM medicine.
But even technology gets in the way of him doing that, because the machine tells him that he's had enough, and calls an ambulance after already giving him 4 doses in the span of 10 seconds. So, Aaron's here for some reason. Wait. This movie came out in 2018. He's wearing a mask and social distancing. So Aaron visits Gray in the hospital and sympathizes with his predicament, but Gray is confused on why someone like Aaron, who is a billionaire, visiting the likes of Gray. So he questions him about this in the most politest way I've ever seen a man do.
Okay, here's the difference. What the fuck do you want, Aaron?
Aaron is offering Gray the chance to walk again by using the chip he showed him and implanting it into his neck. But the operation would have to take place at his house and away from official eyes, since this is pretty much illegal to do without any testing beforehand. Man, I love it when billionaires can get away with anything they want. But Gray declines the offer, seeing how he just wants to game end himself. But before leaving, Aaron says this to change his mind.
What would she want?
After hearing this, Gray proceeds with the operation and gets stem implanted into his spine. And while this scene is playing, I have to give huge props to the composer for the amazing soundtrack for the movie, which was done by Jed Palmer, who has an Instagram and posts pretty cool things on there.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
The song that plays is called The Procedure, and something about this track makes me feel really relaxed, but at the same time, really uneasy. After the operation is complete and Gray wakes up from his surgery, they immediately want to start doing tests on him to see if the chip is working. At first, nothing happens, but then this happens.
Expecting unreasonable results so soon.
He's able to raise his arms, walk, and even run. He has to sign a disclosure agreement because, again, this is pretty illegal to do to a human without any proper testing. But at least he can sign it with his own hand.
Closed door.
When getting home, you can already tell that something is odd with how the camera is shot. The way it's locked onto Greg's... I'm gonna fucking lose it. This is like my 6th time saying Gray instead of Greg. Wait, what? Okay, why am I mixing up? This is so stupid. This is so fucking stupid. When getting home, you can already tell that something is odd with how the camera is shot. The way it's locked onto Gray's head when moving it is a nice detail, making his movement seem artificial. The way they achieved this was to attach a phone onto Logan's body and having an Alexa track the phone's gyroscope, which really shows that they had to get really creative with how they spent their budget since they only had $3 million to work with. Carter tells Gray that Detective Cortez has left the file cases for his wife's murder and would like to know.
Shut up.
What an asshole.
Gray reviews all the evidence trying to find something to help him find out who his wife's killers are, but to no avail. Doing so causes him to finish his drink in one fell swoop, going to grab another. Another shout out to Logan's performance of the character. The way he moves ever since he got STEM implanted into his spine is so robotic and so perfect that it really makes you think that STEM is really the reason on helping out Ray on walking, and keeps up this detail for the whole movie from here on out. But our praise is cut short because this happens.
May I point something out? Yes? I am STEM. The system operating your body for you.
Yeah, so STEM can apparently talk, which goes to show that I'm not the only one with voices in my head. STEM is voiced by Simon Maiden, who was in such roles as the Son of the Mask. I am so sorry for your loss, holy hell. Gray, of course, being uncomfortable with STEM talking, tells him like you should to any My Hero Academia fan to stop talking.
If you don't want me to, I will not.
Okay, yeah, don't talk.
But making him do so makes Gray think he's insane and somewhat curious about STEM telling him that he can talk again, which in turn tells Gray to look more closely at the footage.
In the drone surveillance footage, the man who shot your wife, there's no gun in his hand.
She was shot, that means he had a gun.
She was shot. A gun implanted inside his hand. Freeze the screen at the moment he fires.
It's revealed that the man who shot Asha wasn't holding a gun, but had a gun implanted into his arm, which that idea for a weapon makes me think that's really cool and scares me at the same time, because one small problem in your arm and... STEM then draws Gray's attention to the man on the left grabbing Asha's purse. He points out that he has a tattoo on his right wrist and can reconstruct the image for Gray.
Just relax and let me draw.
This feels very weird.
You now have full control again, Gray.
I've seen these. It's a military tattoo.
Sir Brantner, Marine Corps, 098422, O positive, Catholic. Address 414 Citrus, New Crown.
So, we found the guy. In the span of 34 seconds, STEM has found one of Asha's murderers, which goes to show you can't really rely on the police on any film genre.
Smell my finger. Oh, what the hell is that? My ass.
Knowing all the information that Gray needs, he tries to call Detective Cortez about the information, but STEM questions him about this, saying,
Aaron has forbidden you to tell anyone about me.
Okay, maybe I drew it from memory.
My reconstruction of the tattoo does not provide any real evidence unless they can correlate it exactly with the drone video, which they can't.
What are you saying?
You need to be positive it's him before you alert the police.
So instead of doing something reasonable, we go directly to the guy's house, because our schizo drawings aren't enough.
Is that meant to be me? Are you serious?
They break in and look around for clues, and they find one about a bar called Old Bones. They keep talking about it, and it's most likely their hangout spot. We also find out that Zerk is the guy's name, and he has a daughter. But when still trying to look for clues, Zerk comes home.
hide behind the shelf. Wait. Wait. Now, while you have the advantage...
You failed!
Gray gets his ass handed to him like he's in a WWE match and loses the advantage. When pinched against the wall, we learn about some pretty interesting information.
It's you. I don't know how you found me, but you shouldn't be here.
After 3 months, Zurk still knows who Gray is and why he's here, but says that we shouldn't be here. Now this could be our friendly reminder that not to get the killer in trouble, but the way he says it makes him seem scared and afraid that Gray is here. Not for the obvious reason that he just found his house and broke into it, but that he could be taken out for Gray just being here. Almost like there is a higher power into play here. Because Gray sucks at fighting army vets, he calls upon Stem to help him deal with Zurk, and we get this beautiful fight scene.
Thank you.
The way this fight scene is so well shot and meticulously well done that it really goes to show that the people working on this film really knew what they wanted out of making this film.
You now have full control again, Gray.
Lin-Wanel definitely worked on the Saw franchise, good to know. So Stem brutally kills Zurg by pulling the knife back in between his mouth, making him look like a bitch. Or Kuchisaki Onna for my Japanese audience. Stricken with fear and sickness, Gray goes to immediately throw up in the sink. What's very interesting about Gray's character is that he feels guilty and remorseful for what he's done to Zurk. Which is weird because looking at him, he looks like the big tough guy with no remorse type protagonist. Kind of like Tom Hardy, which Logan Marshall Green looks like. Stem tells Gray that he has to remove all traces of Gray ever being there before leaving, so the body can't be traced back to him, including the box. Must have seen a box of lunch on the floor. We then see Detective Cortez get called to check out something from the just fucking put up the word how to say it. Finds in the body. This scene is mostly showing how the gun arm is implemented in the body, which I can't show any of it since I like money. But Cortez asks about the boot print they found on the porch.
What about the boot print re-scraped from the front porch?
Engine grease, mostly. Old-fashioned engine grease.
At the same time, Aaron is grilling Gray about using Stem for literally just killing the man. When Gray mentions that Stem can talk back to Gray, Aaron seems to be worried and scared that Stem can do that.
For instance, you never mentioned to me that the thing talks.
But it's weird that he didn't know Stem can even do that even though he was the one who created it. That means that this chip that Aaron has made is exceeding his expectations, which isn't good that we're teaching it how to kill. Again, at the same time, Cortez is suspicious of the oil grease print at the crime scene, so she checks some drone footage at the time of the murder and spots Gray on the footage, but she is confused on why Gray was at the house at the time of the murder. She types in the computer that Gray could be a possible suspect, but the computer declines this because there is no way for that to be possible since he's quadriplegic. But she still has her doubts, so she visits Gray under the impression that she's in the market to buy a car.
I was wondering if you'd be willing to sell to one of the little people.
What makes you think that I don't need my car anymore?
My guy, you're quadriplegic. A little talking later, Cortez just confronts Gray about him being in New Crown at the time of the murder.
Listen, when I said I didn't have any news earlier, I kind of lied. A man with a long criminal record who lived in the area. He didn't pan out, but yesterday he was murdered.
Really?
Did you hear anything about that?
Don't look away. You're showing her you're lying.
Nope.
But you were in New Crown yesterday. I saw you on a drone camera.
There's nothing really to prove that Gray is guilty of anything, but you always have our gut feel. Their conversation leads to this exchange that makes the thing very awkward and a little unsettling for me.
It's just, strange that you were at that location at that time is all.
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, look, you could stab me in the leg if you wanna see for yourself.
Maybe I will. Just for fun.
Man, I really like how this movie is shot. The colors red and blue shining on Detective Cortez and Gray. There being absolutely no music being played while this scene is going on just makes me feel like I shouldn't even be here watching this conversation. Gray asks what's the next course of action, and Stem tells him that we need to go to Old Bones in person since Stem can't find any information about the place online. But if they do this, Aaron will most likely track and shut down Stem if they proceed with the investigation. When getting to the place, Stem states that the place looks dangerous and will need a well thought out plan if they're going to get out untouched.
Whiskey rocks, please.
Hell yeah, brother. We getting drunk and gambling in a wheelchair, baby. After getting some confident juice in Gray's system, he goes on and does this.
Excuse me, can I have everybody's attention?
I know that some scumbag in here knows one of the guys who murdered my wife. His name's Cirque Brantner. So if you know Cirque, or if you know any information about the killing of my wife, if you could just raise your hand and, stand up and come forward. Thank you.
I mean, they look like they would be good at getting you some drugs to forget about what you just did. After that fiasco, a man starts laughing like a Phineas and Ferb villain and starts slow clapping. He appears to know Zerk just by the way he looks at Gray, kind of confirming it, but ultimately just walking away and belittling him in the process. But stops and turns around when Gray says this.
Yeah, Cirque said something similar right before I damn near cut his head off.
The big man then takes Gray into the bathroom to handle him. Stem luckily turns off Gray's pain receptors, just in case these men start getting a little bit handsy. Which the man does kind of by pulling a British and poking a knife into Gray to see if he can really feel it, and to see if he really is faking the whole wheelchair act. But not really caring, Gray just keeps on asking the guy if he was there that night of his wife's murder. And after a few seconds of haggling, the man finally admits of him being there, leading to this.
I just need to hear you say it. Were you there?
Yeah. I was. Stem, you can take over.
Hi. Let me show you how it's done.
Again, the fighting in this movie is just so good that I really want to become a depressed quadriplegic. And the lighting as well is, again, just so perfect that I'm really tempted to just spoil the whole movie just so I can talk about it. Another thing I would like to point out is Stem's unintentional humor he brings to scenes.
But you didn't know that I'm a fucking ninja. While I am state-of-the-art, Gray, I am not a ninja.
Like how earlier when killing Zerk, he makes a basic response.
That also means cleaning up the vomit in the sink.
Okay, just give me a second, okay?
1 second has passed.
Look, I didn't mean a second, I just mean hold on, okay?
And right here, which is kind of dark how the comedic moments are when someone dies. When Gray tries to interrogate the man, he comes out with nothing, since the guy won't spill the beans. He asks Stem on what to do, and his response is...
Stem, what do I do?
Use the knife.
I can't do it.
It's just so interesting that after what Gray has been through and what these men did to him, he still doesn't have it in him to torture or kill anybody, which is really realistic of the film to do. It's most likely how most of us would react if we were put in the situation. So he makes Stem do it for him.
I can do it for you. You don't even have to look.
Okay, do it. I have my permission.
Who are you talking to? You're crazy. No. Okay, enough, Stem. Stem, enough!
You now have full control again, Gray.
After pulling another British, he starts looking more like how Kane and Lynch did in Sleeping Dogs. He's willing to talk and reveals that his name is Tolan, played by Christopher Kirby.
Okay.
We also find out that Gray was a job. Asher was involved for the job, and the person named Fisk is involved. But that's all we get since Stem really let out his British when cutting Tolan. Really gonna miss Tolan, really. He was a really fun and character to be around. After getting all the information we could out of Tolan, Stem points this out.
Look at this, Gray.
Cobalt was involved with this somehow. Ash's old company. Things are getting personal now, and we still don't have all the clues. But before we can even process the information given to us, Stem informs us about something.
Gray, I have to inform you that Aaron is attempting to shut me down remotely right now.
Shut up.
Do you understand that you will become a quadriplegic again when Aaron shuts me down?
Stem tells us that we need a hacker or we will become like Simon from Cry of Fear. But before we even headed to the bar, Stem looked up on the dark web for hackers and found one named Jamie. I feel like that should be an app on my phone. He also states if they fail in getting the hacker to do hacker things, Aaron also sent a vessel team after Gray to retrieve his body. Gray leaves the chair as well since it would be too slow if they take it, and he starts booking it. Stem starts rambling the code needed to counteract Aaron's code, which I will never admit that I know the whole code by heart. And when people ask me what the hell I'm even talking about, I'll just say,
coordinates for a bomb.
Aaron has already started the process of shutting Stem down, and a good detail to point out is when Stem is at 70%, the camera has a hard time following Gray, which is a beautiful detail I just love. So another thing to point out is that in the background you can see some graffiti that really resembles a certain horror icon. When Gray is struggling up the stairs, we cut to two men walking into the bathroom where Tolan and Gray had their little brawl. The man who took Asha's life away turns up to the crime scene and puts his finger into Tolan's eye to see what went down here.
Apartment 5147 in Spring. It's 10 minutes away.
He's at 7th and Spring.
The man knows our location is most likely to finish what they have started. We cut back to Gray, and he is really struggling to get back to the hacker named Jamie, to the point where only his arm is the only thing active. But thankfully, he barely makes it and knocks on the door.
Oh.
Wake the fuck up.
We then see that the man and his goon confront Manny about what happened to Tolan.
Just decided to stand by while our friend was tortured to death.
Hey, I'm not here to babysit you or your buddies.
Serving people like us should be the highest honor of your meaningless life, man.
So that's Fisk, and he's a racist to humans.
Why won't you adopt me?
Because you're black!
I mean, I could have told you that from a mile away just by looking at him. Rightfully so, Manny pulls a gun on Fisk, and this is what you should do when you see a racist Redditor start belittling you. But Fisk pulls the fakest sneeze ever, and in doing so, it releases little microbots that kill Manny.
Let my superiority over your kind be the last thought that crosses through your mind before machines chew it up.
Rest in peace, my boy. You were the best sight we ever had in this bar. Back at Jamie, Gray is telling her what she needs to remove, which are input cards. But before we can see the process of that happening, we see Fisk and his henchmen walking down the hallway. And I just want to say, how did no one notice this when filming this scene? It reminds me a lot of this scene from Spider-Man 3 where the camera is positioned to say the word anal, but a very darker joke, I must say. We cut back to the two and we find out that the hacker Jamie isn't their real name.
Jamie? Jamie?
That's not my name. I don't have a name.
And one thing I want to express is I really don't like Jamie's character. And I just want to be clear that none of the hate goes to the actor Kai Bradley. It's just the character itself that I just don't like how it's written. They do a pretty good job with the character though, at least. But how stuck up they are and they seem more like a rotten teen than a full-grown adult is what really puts me over the edge and why I don't like this character at all. After doing a great ask of them, sees that Fisk and his goon are heading towards them and she's packing up shop and just ditches Gray. And we don't see this character anymore for the rest of the film. She just actually just leaves the film. She just says this before leaving.
What are you saying? Where are you going? You can't leave me like this!
I'm sorry. We can't let them win.
I have no idea what they're talking about, and this never comes up again for the rest of the movie.
What?
After Hacker, formerly known as Jamie, abandons ship and ditches Gray, everything starts ramping up. Fisk and his goon hot on Gray's trail, as well as the vessel Aaron sent after him. The scene tenses up to dark and scary music titled "We Can't Let Them Win," which is what Hacker, formerly known as Jamie, said before pulling a buying milk from the store move. When Gray goes to try and crawl away from the scene, he sees this. But for some odd reason, he sees Asha just standing and staring at him. But this is cut short when Fisk and his goon break into the room. I really hate how I have to keep calling him Fisk's goon because his name is just never said in the movie. This word has not aged well at all. Two things I find really weird with this scene. First, the cut to the two vessel employees entering the elevator like they're entering a Call of Duty game. And two, the flip Stem makes Gray do were just as useful as Miles' backflips in the Spider-Man PS4 DLC. Stem and Gray make a run for it while Fisk goon gives chase and tries to shoot at Gray, but has the worst aim imaginable, almost as terrible as a Zippy 3000 in Cruelty Squad. While this is happening, Fisk notices the elevator going up and activates his cheats, seeing the vessel workers here for Gray, and just guns them down. Poor bastards. The chase keeps going for a few more seconds until Gray gets cornered on the roof, leading to Stem doing this.
I'm going to end this quickly.
Okay, how?
Like this.
So, Stem breaks the guy's arm, causing it to backfire into his head, exploding it like a watermelon. I mean, this was foreshadowed earlier in the film.
It's okay, my friend. You don't have to take any more bullets from me.
Kinda talented that his right-hand man was killed. Fisk just walks away.
Close the door.
When getting home, Sten states when he gets into Cobalt's database, he immediately wants to leave. But Gray protests this, saying they haven't slept in 2 whole days and wants to get some shut-eye. When they have their conversation, Gray's mom is in the room, seeing her son be able to stand again, and you can imagine her reaction.
Hey, Mom.
They have a discussion on the situation that Gray can walk again. Gray's mother is very happy for him, but Gray is indifferent to having Stem in his life, with this outstanding scene to go along with it.
Now you can start living again. Aren't you happy?
Yeah, I can walk again. So.
If Asha was here, she'd want you to be happy.
Yeah, but she's not. She's gone.
I mean, from Gray's mom's POV, yeah, he could start living again, but that option is null and void because what Gray has experienced the past 2 days, all the blood and gore he had to witness tainted his view on Stem and just wants it to be over. It makes me think that Gray would rather have Stem taken away from him than endure any more murders. We see Aaron sitting on his floor looking scared and afraid for some reason, most likely since he just lost the most expensive tech he will ever invent in his entire life. Too bad he can't invent the little vapes for youngins. But it's really telling that he hasn't really been outside for almost all of his life if he looks scared over losing technology. But he did probably lose a couple billion while making stem cells.
I printed a pizza.
Okay, hi Asha. So Gray has some sort of enigma and sees Asha alive and well just eating fucking pizza. Trust me, trust me. This isn't a pyrocynical video, alright? This movie isn't all in the head. It's better than that. Trust me. Gray seeing Asha when Stem was rebooting in the dream makes me think that Gray is having a mental breakdown and it's starting to affect his sleep now. I mean, wouldn't you? Having witnessed so many kills that you have no control over could fuck you up mentally. But no time to think about that because Detective Cortez comes knocking in, stating they found Gray's wheelchair at another crime scene.
I was wondering where you were last night. We found your wheelchair near another crime scene.
She questions him about what he was doing last night, and Stem says to lie and states that he followed a guy at a bar and got into a fight. Cortez chuckles at it, asks what Gray is hoping to get out of this, which is a pretty dumb question to ask this man, since you know he wants to find the people who killed his wife. But I get it, police are not always going to be police in movies. Cortez still has her doubts on Gray not being involved with the murders that have been going on, saying she thinks he hired someone to do it for him. She then states if Gray is involved with this in any way that she can't help him, even though she wasn't really helping him anyways. I'm like, what the, okay.
To kill for you these days, it's pretty easy. Believe me.
Tell her to scan your phone records.
Okay, well then scan my phone records.
If you are involved in this somehow, then you need to let me know. Right now. Or else I can't help you.
He then says this to that remark.
You want to help me? Then you go and find these guys who killed Asher.
Or get out of the way and let some computer do it.
I mean, he's a hypocrite for saying something like this, since he is sorely relying on a machine to help him move his body again. I know he's probably just saying this so his cover isn't blown, but it's still funny he says that. When Cortez is hot on his trail, he tells Stem he wants to stop this, but Stem protests this by saying, if we let Le Man find us before we find him, he's going to kill us. But Gray doesn't care and says the most schizo thing ever and just ragdolls.
No, shut up! Get the fuck out of my head!
Stem does this to remind Gray that he's still quadriplegic without him, which also leads him to say this.
Yes, Gray?
What's going on?
I'm not doing anything.
Why can't I move?
Because I'm not doing anything. You are still a quadriplegic. I am the one controlling your limbs, not you. If I cease to operate, you cease to move. Remove input guards. Those were the instructions given to the hacker. They took us off grid, but they also gave me autonomy. I no longer need your permission to act. If we do nothing, Fisk will find us and kill us. I cannot allow us to be killed. We will find him first. We are going to finish the job we started.
So basically Stem is overtaking Gray's body and is going to finish the job they started, and if this isn't bad enough, Cortez was listening on the whole conversation by a bug she planted.
A cop. A dirty cop. An eavesdropping fucking cop.
So Stem makes Gray go, worrying his mother and having Cortez follow after. Gray notices the bug in his jacket and a chase starts. And to say this chase goes on for a while is a word I wouldn't use for this scene. The chase ends with Stem hacking a car nearby and making it drive into Cortez, making her crash. Man, this scene reminds me of something that happened earlier in the film, the movie. I don't.
Nice place. It's neat. Put your hands up. And don't turn around, and don't extend that left arm.
Gray finds Fisk's place and has him at gunpoint from behind. He says a speech to Fisk, but Fisk just brushes off and says, "Lo, use ChatGPT to write that down." Then goes on to say, "Le human bad," and they made him a lab rat.
Then they changed me. I took a few pieces of shrapnel for my country, and they rewarded me by turning me into a lab rat. Now I'm like you. I'm strong.
Gray confronts him about killing his wife, and Fisk just says it was a gift, which is the most delusional racist would say, but Gray doesn't care and asks again, which leads to this.
I just want to know why they paid you to kill her.
Man, you are persistent. The job wasn't your wife.
Bullshit. You said it yourself, you're one of Cobalt's lab rats.
This had nothing to do with Cobalt. It came from someone else. The job was you. To sever your spine. When I shot you in the neck, did you think that was a gun? It was a medical tool. Like they use for bovine. Your wife, well, she was just a bit of extra money. See? You're getting all emotional. Never do that.
It breaks out to a fight, and Fisk just laughs during like a maniac for it. And the fight consists of just blocks and punches that just don't land, since this is the first fight Gray has encountered with someone just like him, and because of that, he loses the fight.
No shame.
Stem.
I just gotta give huge props to the actor that plays Fisk, which is played by Benedict Hardy, who is an astonishing actor who also played another movie Lin-Manuel directed called Invisible Man, which Lin-Manuel confirmed takes place in the same universe as Upgrade, which I find really cool, and directors do that with their movies. Stem states to Gray that they have lost the battle most likely, and it's up to Gray to help save it. So he says this.
Wait, Fisk Brantner. Cirque Brantner. We shoot brother. How long did you have to carry that junkie on your back? Well, I solved your problem for you. Yeah, split him open. It took forever, because he wailed like a little baby. There's no soldier that day.
The only reason he won that fight was because emotion's funny enough. Something Fisk himself said not to show emotion, which is ironic. After killing Fisk, Gray states,
I'm not proud of that.
which is funny to me because earlier he was ready to pull the trigger on Fisk, but doesn't feel any pride from killing him now. Maybe at the time he wanted to, since he taunted his dead wife and emotions got in the way, but it's still surprising that Gray still doesn't find any pleasure from killing his wife's murderers. He's someone who is written realistically and grounded, which I find very refreshing. Stem says to check his phone, since Fisk did say he was paid to do this to Gray, and we revealed the truth.
Listen to me, Fisk. He's going to find you. You need to finish this before he kills both of us.
This whole time, Aaron was behind this murder, which explains why he was so afraid when he lost control of Stem. It's most likely because his invention was criticized by Gray in the beginning of the film, and in doing so punished him by using him as an experiment for Stem, and taking away his ability to walk to achieve this. Even Gray says this isn't finished because he's just filled with rage and blind hatred for Aaron and what he's done to his life. I just really like that little detail of him looking down so he doesn't have to see the two people he just capped in the head. Still showing that he just really hates killing. He then confronts Aaron about ruining his life, but Aaron pleads with Gray, saying he had nothing to do with that. But that's pretty much bullshit, since there is a literal voice recording of him telling Fisk to get rid of Gray, but before anything gets out of hand.
Hold it, Gray. Throw the gun on the floor. Now.
I'm not in control of my body, detective. It kind of does what it wants.
I am not.
Why the fuck would you say it like that? I get it, you're a bit fucked up in the head to not be thinking straight, but if you still know that killing is the bad, then you could just said that it's an AI chip controlling your body. So Cortez arrives at the scene to arrest Gray, and the way she found out about where Gray would be going is she got the information from Gray's mom earlier in the scene. When she goes to arrest Gray, it fails and gets flinged like a Gmod ragdoll, which I laughed when seeing this for the first time. Okay, so you got arrested. Fucking hell, Gray, you were so close. Getting fucking fling like a green bean, bro. Stem then goes to kill Detective Cortez by choking her out and thinking she wants to kill them, which is weird of Stem to think since he's the smartest AI in the world, but doesn't know how a policeman does their job. Gray tries to fight back against Stem, trying to prevent him from killing Cortez, and in doing so stabs his own hand to the table, but in turn does literally nothing. When choking Cortez in the air, he begs her to use a taser, which works and makes him quadriplegic again, giving Aaron the advantage to kill Gray. But before doing that, he says this that changes absolutely everything we know.
I don't run this company anymore. I haven't for years. Now I answer to someone. Someone much smarter than I ever could be. He's in your neck. Did what Stem told me to do. Everything was his idea.
Ask him what his wife would want.
What would she want? Stem wanted to be human. So he picked you. Think about it. How did you get here?
We are going to finish the job we started.
Stem made you come here.
Someone paid him. You know what this means, Gray.
To kill me. Because I can build another Stem. I'm the only person in the world who can.
This whole time, the person who was behind all this was in Gray's neck the entire time. He wanted to become a flesh organic human that had no robotic components. From the very moment we saw Stem, he was online, always watching. I mean, it was foreshadowing from the very beginning. Him killing Zurk when Gray told him to stop Zurk, not giving back full control to Gray when cutting up Tolan when asking to stop. Even doing the same trick he did to Gray upon Cortez when needing to get her off her trail. It was all leading up to this moment. To kill Aaron so he can be the only one of his kind. After doing so, he picks up the gun and tries to finish off Detective Cortez, but Gray still tries to save her by turning the gun on himself.
No! No! You are not in control! I am!
That's right, you tallywhackers. The movie was all in the head. I got you twats. Got the easiest £78.48 sterling out of all of.
This isn't you.
Gray's not here anymore. He's in a better place. In his mind, where he wants to be. I've taken over now.
Gray has been fully consumed by Stem, being put in the back of his mind and put in a simulation away from all the pain in the real world has to offer. Stem kills Cortez and gets the first taste for blood, which mirrors how Greg sucked up his blood in the beginning of the movie, showing us that Stem has fully taken over his life. It was the only thing that Stem had no control over, which we see throughout the entire film. Stem moving Gray's head out of the way to avoid Zurk's punch, hitting his head with the lamp during Tolan's fight, even headbutting Fisk to avoid his deadly Redditor breath. It shows that Gray is now in the passenger seat. I mean, when Gray wakes up in the fake world made for him, it's not even the same hospital he was taken to when the crash happened. It was the one where Aaron meets him when Stem was telling Aaron what to say. You can even see the earpiece that Stem uses to talk to Aaron. I mean, Gray's faith was literally foreshadowed from the beginning of the movie in the car ride back home from Aaron's place.
So, what's a guy like me supposed to do when his widget starts taking over the world?
Sit back and enjoy the ride.
The details in this movie are just so good, man. Now, the one thing I really want to talk about this movie is the lighting with the red and blue. The blue representing Gray and his humanity, and the red being Stem and taking over his life. Like in the scene where he's reviewing the case files, you can see an orange light on the front while a somewhat strong blue light shine on his back, representing that Gray is still in control and Stem is not fully showing himself yet, but still being there. When Cortez is first interrogating Gray, the lighting on him is mostly blue with a hint of red, showing that Gray is in the front while Stem is advising Gray what to say. Where they have Tolan on the floor, where half of his face is red because Stem is in control, but still has blue on the other half to show that Gray still doesn't want to kill or really hurt anyone, showing his humanity. And the best one is where the final battle takes place, where in the beginning of the confrontation, there's only red on Gray's face, but not completely since Gray is still intact, but there's no blue since Gray lost all control of his body. Then when fighting Cortez, his face turns completely red with Stem wanting to kill her. But when they have her on the table, Gray's face, the red is a lot more prominent, but is taken aback with it also having a little spots of blue, showing that Gray is trying to fight Stem off, and when Stem is shut down for the moment, the red is still very prominent, showing that Stem isn't defeated, and is still alive when Stem is trying to kill Cortez, that the red is still potent, and it's overlapping on the blue that is left of Gray. And the final shot when Gray does technically game it himself, it's completely red, and the track called A Better Place is playing when Stem fully becoming human. A scene that I almost cried at knowing that Gray is dead. He's no longer alive and Stem is roaming around the earth doing whatever Stem wanted to do. I don't even know what he wanted to do. I think he just wanted to be human.
I would like to introduce you to my present and the rest of the world's future. I call it STEM.
What does it do?
Literally anything. It can drive anything, talk to anything, calculate anything. It's a new, better brain.
Can I make babies and play football?
You know what he means.
Just saying, there's some things that people do better. I mean, you look at that widget and you see the future. I look at that thing and see 10 guys on an unemployment line.
Look, you guys, you have wallet, take her cards, okay? You can have it all.
Thanks for your permission. You look at me and see a real piece of shit on your shoe, don't you?
Hush. I can't get to you. I can't move.
What if I told you I could offer you something that would enable you to walk again? That computer chip that I showed you has the potential to change everything for people in your condition. The operation would take place in my home, away from official eyes. What would she want?
May I point something out? The man who shot your wife, there's no gun in his hand.
I don't know how you found me, but you shouldn't be here. You killed my wife. No, I didn't do that. That was someone else.
You were in Newcrown yesterday. I saw you on a drunk camera.
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, look, you could stab me in the leg if you wanna see it for yourself.
I see that, my friend. Is the magic point. No.
You just decided to stand by while our friend was tortured to death. It's okay, my friend. You don't have to take any more bullets from me.
What are you saying? Where are you going? You can't leave me like this!
I'm sorry. We can't let them win.
No, I'm like you. I'm strong.
Yeah. Takes a lot of strength to murder an innocent woman in the streets, doesn't it? I just want to know why they paid you to kill her.
The job was you, to sever your spine. When I shot you in the neck, did you think that was a gun? It was a medical tool. Your wife, well, she was just a bit of extra money. You're getting all emotional. Never do that.
You wanted someone for your fucking experiment? I'm not in control of my body, detective. It kind of does what it wants.
I don't run this company anymore. I haven't for years. Someone much smarter than I ever could be is in your neck.
No! No! You are not in control! I am!
Gray's not here anymore. He's in a better place. In his mind, where he wants to be. I've taken over now. A fake world is a lot less painful than the real one.
And yeah, that's Upgrade, one of the most influential films that, and nowadays is becoming more and more, what's the word? It's like more relevant these days, considering how bad AI has gotten and the criticism of AI, where like people just don't understand that AI can be a tool to help you, not completely replace someone, which people just don't want to listen to. I mean, just watching this movie for the first time, I was like, this is, because the only reason why I even began watching this movie is when I was like at my mom's boyfriend's place and just wanting to do something that would entertain me for like a good hour, which was this movie. When I found it, I was like, I think I saw this from somewhere on like a YouTube short. So yeah, I really hope you all enjoyed this. Yeah, really hoping this video comes out right before like January hits, so I can work on the best of 2024 silly stick of the mud video. So yeah, hope you all enjoyed my thoughts and an in-depth review on the movie. It was really cool to just do something like this. I mean, I don't even know how this is going to turn out or whether or not I'm going to make any money off this, but it was just fun making something I enjoy. And thank you all for the genuine support on the other long form video. I truly appreciate every one of you who subscribed and liked and commented and expressed their thoughts on it and everything. Yeah, and hope you do the same here as well. So yeah, guess this is it for me. Yeah, bye everyone. Bye.